just be here, and we're back to a new Gravity Falls review. And if you want to see the last one, go and check it out. We're back with the next 2 episodes of season 1. And yeah, we start with another interesting one. And yeah, it has Mable and Dipper watching this show with this crime scene. And apparently, it has this duck. And yeah, it's called Duck Detective, which is quite funny. And yeah, Dipper saying of how he could be able to investigate some crimes as well, probably even better than the Duck Detective. And then apparently Mabel ate toothpaste. Like, yeah. And then we see Seuss that comes and tells them what he found, them what they found, and he says that he found this hidden room, and it has a lot of wax statues. And yeah, their Uncle Stan disappears and sows all these different wax, and yeah, this whole one of Abraham Lincoln, which is all melted. And yeah, Mabel actually says that she can make a new stand for their uncle. And yeah, even having a gun, one of those things on her arm too, which is quite funny. And yeah, she's giving some ideas like this princess slash horse, and then this waffle with arms, and then she then gets this idea from her uncle when he's trying to look for his pants. It seems like he's always losing his pants most of the time. And yeah, of course, just from her eyes, she's found her inspiration of what she can make out of wax. And yeah, she's sculpting, and then there's something missing with Zetaside glitter, and then their Uncle Stan comes and freaks out of what it seems, but then he says that the wax museum is back in business because yeah, a whole wax stand that kind of looks like him, and yeah, they get the grand opening and getting all of the customers, and yeah, this is seems like it's going to go pretty well, I would say. And yeah, he's telling everybody to calm down, even the ladies. And yeah, they're just. I mean, we even hear some like flies just buzzing around. And then yeah, they present the new wax statue, and yeah, they're like and just slowly clapping. And yeah, they're doing different questions as well, having these different questions, and even this actual reporter talking about free pizza that was mentioned, but of course, obviously, there's no free pizza, and yeah, they're all rioting and just destroying stuff too. And Mabel is like, "That went pretty well, don't you think?" Yeah, and I don't know if I mentioned this. I don't know if I mentioned this, but Wendy, the character Wendy's voice actor, I may have mentioned this in the last one. I could have. I don't remember. But the but if you may think that she sounds familiar, and she does. She voiced MJ. I mean not MJ. Um CJ, sorry. CJ on Regular Show. It's the same actress that played CJ on Regular Show. I don't know if I told y'all that in the last one, but yeah, I find that really cool because I can definitely hear CJ from Regular Show when Wendy talks. And yeah, of course, Uncle Stan is saying of how great with the money that they made, and yeah, just talking to himself, his wax self, and even watching TV with his wax self. As he says he's going to use the bathroom if he needs anything. But then, when Dipper and Mabel are brushing their teeth, they hear their uncle screaming because the wax figure of himself's head got chopped off. And yeah, they bring the police involved. Like, why would you bring the police involved? And of course, yeah, they're laughing and making fun at Dipper as well. And of course, Dipper is going to be doing the whole investigating, helping with the investigating. And yeah, they have this whole crime scene part too, and showing the suspects, and even seeing these clues like footprints and an axe. and they bring it to Seuss, and then they actually remember that there was a guy that did have an axe, and yeah, their Uncle Stan actually bought a coffin for the Wax Stan, for real. And then, yeah, they go to this hangout area, and of course, yeah, we get this funny joke that actually laughed at with this miner, saying that they don't allow minors. And yeah, we see these fake IDs, and he's like, good enough. And yeah, that guy's stupid. I'm just gonna say, letting two little or young kids into a tough place like this. And yeah, Mabel is just with this tough guy, and yeah, Dipper goes over to the lumberjack guy, and of course he says that it wasn't him, and he was punching this clock as well, and even ripping the hand off of this machine. And yeah, Mabel is doing. I can't remember what it's some kind of origami like thing. I've seen that plenty times before, and yeah, they're doing the different suspects, and seems like a lot of them. I like this one when they go over to this guy with the pizza cert, so, letting him sign for this package, and then taking the package away. And yeah, going for more different suspects, but then they think that they got the guy. They believe that they found the person. And it's that weird reporter guy, and saying that he's the one that did the wax head case. But of course, him saying, or them making a story of after they left, he ended up chopping the head off of the wax stand, and seeing the hole in the shoe, and the whole how with his hand, what hand he uses. But him saying it wasn't him, and yeah, we actually see what he was doing from some video footage, some camera footage, where he actually had this cardboard cutout of that reporter lady, and he was kissing it too. And yeah, they're all laughing at Dipper and Mabel. And yeah, they have the memorial. Again, it's ridiculous, but funny at the same time. And having all the other wax figures and Seuss and Mabel and Dipper at the funeral. And of course, yeah, Dipper thinks that the cops were right. But then they find out of how, yeah, the shoe of the Uncle Stan wax has a hole as well. And then they come to realize that the wax figures are actually alive. Yeah, and they say that they were the ones that did it. They were the ones that took out the Uncle Stan wax. Because apparently he bought them at this garage sale. And that's when, of course, they started doing the whole, you know, wax museum thing. And then when it was nighttime, they would start playing around. And they'll, until, you know, that moment when Seuss found the hidden passage where the door, where the room was. And they thought that they took out the real Uncle Stan. Which, yeah, apparently they were planning to take out the actual Uncle Stan, but of course they found out it was just the wax figure of him. And then, yeah, they start throwing stuff at them and starting to melt them. And yeah, threatening them with the candles, of course. And yeah, we have this fight which they do as well, and it's quite interesting. And then, of course, it's the Sherlock Holmes one and Dipper, and putting him to the corner, which then they go outside, fighting outside, and wondering if he's got last words, and telling him if he's got some sunscreen. And yep, the sun is rising because he's burning up. The sun is rising, and he starts melting. And then, yeah, their uncle is wondering what even happened in there, and thinking it was just in their imaginations about the whole Rax coming to life. But then, yeah, they solve the whole case and have some fun with each other. And then the police come, and yeah, after they say of how they managed to solve the case, they spit coffee at each other's faces. And then apparently there is one wax figure that is still alive. And yeah, this rat takes the guy's ear. And then we see that Mabel is wondering which sweater to wear, and the wax figure tells her. And yeah, of course, Dipper reading a book and then looking like, what? And then just going back to reading. Quite funny, I would say. And then we go to the next one, and this is another interesting one. And it starts with Uncle Stan pretty much doing kind of, I don't know if this would be like a scam or something, but telling people on putting their money inside of this bag and it would just disappear. Yeah, this is pretty much a scam. And yeah, we see this tiger with a human's hand in his tiger fist and showing this commercial and showing about this guy called Jane. And yeah, showing Uncle Stan as well, and this whole tent as well. Well, not the guy named Jane exactly. That's not his name, but showing of this guy pretty much. This guy and showing this tent, which of course their Uncle Stan obviously knows for sure because yeah, they're their arch competitor business, and of course it's all because it's all because of this whole taking the parking spot, and that's how they became enemies. But yeah, his name is Gideon. Yeah, named Gideon. And yeah, we see them it kind of doing the same thing as Uncle Stan did. And we see this guy that kind of looks like Seuss as well, and he starts looking angry at him. And then we see if looks like he's big, but no, he's a small little guy. This Gideon is, and trying to be all cute like too, which everybody is all saying. And yeah, of course, throwing this cape, and everybody attacks this lady. And of course, the police are here celebrating too, which he does a quite interesting song, I would say, Gideon. And of course, Mabel is quite intrigued with Gideon, I would say. But yeah, something is very sinister with Gideon. Like, yeah, of course, he seems like a very interesting character. And yeah, Mabel for some reason started putting all these things on her face. Like, I don't know why. And of course, lo and behold, Gideon comes over to Mabel and saying that he couldn't stop thinking about Mabel and wondering if they would want to go to his dressing room. And of course they do. And yeah, of course he would be that type of person to have so many different things. And yeah, she looks completely different, I would say. And of course, yeah, Dipper is like, I don't trust that guy. And of course, Seuss is wondering if Dipper wants to go and watch these hot dogs explode in the microwave one at a time. Like that got me a laugh out as well. And yeah, they're just sitting outside and also have this question, which of course, yeah, Mabel keeps pushing his hand away when when he's trying to rub her hair, and yeah, wondering if she would want to go out again or go on a date. Which, of course, yeah, of course, she's she's not on so sure about this, obviously, because he's just a guy she just met, of course. And yeah, then we see this horse, and Gideon comes and, of course, picks her up, and they go to this restaurant. And, of course, Uncle Stan comes with the papers showing. What is that picture with Mabel, though? I don't know. It's just showing on the papers, and even Wendy even saying of how, yeah, they're just talking about this whole thing with Gideon and Mabel. And, of course, he's going to go and put a stop to this. Of course, Uncle Stan's going to go and put a stop to it. And yeah, he goes over to Gideon's house and sees his dad and welcomes him inside. And yeah, he's all polited with the place and even having a portrait with darts on it, which is quite funny. And working on this little deal, and he's like, I'm listening. And yeah, this lobster is still alive. And yeah, of course, Gideon is wondering if she would want to go on another date. But of course, she's like, you only said one. And then brings out this bird, which then gives this letter and wondering if she would want to go to this thing with him. And yeah, everybody is just really wanting her to say yes. And of course, yeah, Dipper is really saying that, yeah, this is just not going good for Mabel, I would say. And yeah, they go out on this boat ride and won't basically wanting to go into a relationship status with Mabel. And yeah, Sia's just doesn't know what to do, basically, and telling Dipper. And of course, yeah, right after Dipper said, at least you don't have to marry him, and then their Uncle Stan is like, Mabel, you're gonna have to marry Gideon. And yeah, of course, yeah, he's all. First, he was all against this whole thing, and now he's totally on board with it. And yeah, of course, Mabel is just in her own land, as he says. And Dipper says that he'll go and try to talk to do this whole thing, breakup thing with Gideon. And yeah, he's a good brother, I would say. And yeah, tries to go to Gideon and tell him that Mabel doesn't want to see him anymore. And I don't think he's going to take that very well, of what it seems. But yeah, after they're like, it's not like he can actually read their mind or stuff. And yeah, he is just not being able to handle that whole process, what Dipper said, and starts breaking all these lights and making everything float. Like, yeah, he's got powers. Like, he is scary and very threatening. And then they're playing this game outside, and apparently Dipper gets this phone call by that guy that they framed in the last episode. They thought that, with the whole wax figure. And, yeah, giving them this address, which apparently Gideon told this guy, made this deal with the reporter guy. And, yeah, made him to go to this address. And, of course, the doors close. And, yeah, he's got this little doll also. And even throwing Dipper as well and making all these different Gideon merchandise float in the air. And yeah, when Mabel is trying to talk about this whole thing with Wendy about maybe she needed to break up with Gideon properly, and yeah, Wendy is just one. She just keeps naming guys that she's broke up with, and probably one guy that she didn't actually break up with. And of course, he tries to hit Gideon with a bat, but he ends up floating, and then threatening to use scissors as well. Like, goodness. And of course, Mabel then tells Gideon and takes that whole necklace thing that gives him powers and literally runs at Dipper, and they both end up out going crashing out of the window and falling. But thankfully, they get saved. And of course, they destroy his source of power. But then he's saying that, mark his words, this is not the last time they'll say of him. And of course, Uncle Stan and Gideon's dad are still having the time of their lives. And then, yeah, Gideon is just swearing revenge on his family. And of course, yeah, Gideon's dad just tears up the contract, and he literally just steals that clown painting from them. And of course, yeah, they're just talking about Gideon and just the stuff that he said about swearing revenge and how would he be able to do all that. And it actually shows him just making this little miniature model of the Mystery Shack, and even making Mabel and Uncle Stan and even Dipper as well. And even showing the book as well that looks kind of similar to the one that Dipper has. Yeah, very crazy things, I would say. But yeah, this whole Gideon guy, seems like a pretty dangerous threat that he's going to be. I can guarantee you. I feel like he's going to be a pretty dangerous threat. And at the very end, it shows with Seuss, and yeah, they put all these glitter things on him and just spinning him around with the lights. And Uncle Stan just comes in and they're like, "You're all fired," which I really doubt that. But yeah, very interesting episode. So I would definitely say, definitely, I'm really excited to on continuing more of this. So though, very excited. But yeah, like to know what y'all think. 'Cause the next one.